When I first got into film photography, the lab that I used handed out a free roll of C200 for every roll dropped off to be developed and scanned. So of course, at the time, I shot quite a bit of C200, and like many others, C200 was the stock that taught me most of the basics of film photography, and I really enjoyed shooting with it, because after all, it was everything I wanted and needed it to be, in that it wasn't a digital sensor. But with time, as I moved on to different labs and learned more and more about film photography, I kind of left C200 behind, distracted by other more interesting stylized stocks that I'd never shot with before, and frankly, spending a lot of time making these reviews, I didn't shoot with it again until recently, where after growing very tired of Kodak's overbearing warm tones, I finally decided it was time to shoot some C200 once again. So here I am, same place as ever, talking to a camera, trying to address what I think to be the most important, or at least most relevant question tied to C200. Is it everywhere because it's a good stock, or is it everywhere because it's just cheap? Now, there's no denying it is definitely cheap. In fact, it's the cheapest film stock there is. I've seen a roll cost as low as $6.65 in a pack of 3, which is significantly cheaper than a professional film. And that price definitely contributes to its abundance, but it's a bit more complicated than that. Now, these reviews are always based on my personal experience. Of course, they do have objective bids based literally on the technical data sheets, but they've also got a lot, and I mean a lot, of subjective bids. So as ever, I definitely recommend giving it a try yourself if somehow you've never shot C200. And if you have any tips or experience or criticisms, please join in the conversation in the comments down below. It's honestly my favorite part about making these YouTube videos. Even if you disagree with me, it's a good way to learn together.
Yeah. Anyways, let's get some pictures.
I thought it'd be fun to go to the football stadium, because football stadiums always have these weird bits designed to cater to a lot of people, which I think makes some interesting images when they're empty. As I mentioned earlier, it was the color of C200, or the way in which it's fundamentally opposed to Kodak's colors, that made me want to shoot with it again. Fujifilm stocks generally give cooler, more subdued colors, and Fujicolor C200 conforms to that generalization, but beyond that, it's not particularly stylized. It doesn't have a strong preference like some films do, where it's better suited for certain lighting conditions. C200 by design is a every day, every location, every time kind of film, but I do have to say, personally, I don't like it that much in direct warm light, say at a sunset or sunrise or any other condition that has direct warm light. It still does a good job in those conditions, but it's nowhere near what you get from, say, Portra or Ektar. Skin tones are fine, though on the highlights you can end up a touch pink with C200, which shows up worse on Caucasian skin tones. It's not great, but it's bearable for the price. Now, C200, of course, is a 200 speed film with grain that is very much present, as to be expected from a cheap film. But that's not necessarily an issue in my opinion, except for the fact that Fuji seems to believe otherwise, claiming on the technical datasheet that it has excellent fine grain quality. Well, they say that, and then they immediately backtrack by adding the line for a high-speed film. 200 is not high speed, that's a standard speed. 1600, 3200, those are the ones I'll put as high speed. Maybe 800 is where I'll cut it off. But yeah, that's just marketing crap. Back in the land of reality, depending on how you feel, the grain can be either very nice and reminiscent of old family photos, or it can be distracting. For me, it's the former, but I can understand how if you're used to much finer grain film, it can just be rather unpleasant. But you can't deny how big of a role that family photo album aesthetic plays for a lot of beginner and casual film shooters. And it's kind of taboo to talk about that among the professional film photography community, but really, grain is why professionals shoot film, and grain is why beginners shoot film as well. It's why we all shoot film. I don't know why there's such a need for separation, and sometimes you want more grain, sometimes you want less grain. Professional can shoot on the cheapest film, and a beginner with deep pockets can shoot on the most expensive stuff, and it doesn't mean anything. They're just taking pictures in the end of the day. But yeah, back to the main point. A very good friend of mine, Regan, shoots C200, and he actually underexposes to emphasize that grain even further. Here's a few shots that he took on a day that we hung out, and a few shots that I took. Like most other color negative films, I prefer overexposing by one stop. I don't mind shooting at box speed, and I often do if I don't have enough light with my SLR, or if I'm just shooting on a point and shoot, because ultimately, as proved by Regan's shots, and as is the case for most color negative films, there's a lot of exposure latitude, and there's a big safety net to catch bad exposures. Overall, C200 is a great film. It's a budget mass market option, rivaling Gold 200 and Ultramax and Color Plus. But unlike the Kodak options, it doesn't have that overbearing warmth to it. It doesn't really have much of a look to it beyond that general Fuji look. So if you need a film that's available, reliable, versatile, and neutral, shoot C200. It's bang on average family photo album film. It's not my favorite. Pro Image holds that throne, but it's wonderful, and I think I should be shooting more of it in my life. And for the film snobs out there, remember, we all probably began with a budget stock, and budget stocks play a role for pulling people into the film shooting community. I mean, my friend Regan has a lot of fun with it, and that's the point of photography. So yeah, on that note, thank you for watching this video. If you want to see more videos of me talking to a camera about cameras and film, subscribe to this channel, give this video a like if you enjoyed it as well. Join in the comments. Like I said, it is honestly my favorite part of YouTube. I never expected that to be the case, but it is. The comments are great on these videos. So yeah, please do all the YouTube things. It genuinely helps this channel get better and better, so I can make more and more videos about more and more things. And yeah, I'll see you next time in a video where I'll be talking about the same stuff I always do. What film is this? Ah, C200.